Hi, my name is Cameron Frost. I will be your moderator for today. I have some rules I'd like to go over. You will each get 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, and then we will proceed with the questions. For each question, you will have 1 minute and 30 seconds. You will each have the opportunity for one rebuttal for 1 minute and 30 seconds. 2 minutes for closing statements, and then we will finish. Thank you. Mrs. Malega, will you please give your 2-minute introduction?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, NAPC. My name is Sarah Maligo. As a first-time candidate for Lake Worth Beach City Commission District 1 in 2018, I lost by a small margin. The reason that I ran then is the same reason I'm running today. Our city needs a governing body that cares about all residents and business owners. A city hall that has open lines of communication, exhibits respect, integrity, transparency, and positivity. As a resident who lives within the poorest, highest crime, and underdeveloped area in the city, I can see, and so can my neighbors, that it's time for a change. We've had violent crimes against young, Hispanic, and gay people that have gone unaddressed by our city. The violent crimes against people of color are still high in the same underprivileged area of the city. Our current commissioner, in his 13 years in office, has failed to address these issues that are critical to our most vulnerable residents. Life in Lake Worth Beach will not improve as long as we have no term limits. I'm in favor of term limits because it avoids stagnation and promotes democracy. Once I'm elected, we will work on a resolution to make sure term limits is on the March 2022 ballot, and we will let the residents decide on the term limits. I also believe that if you do not offer leisure services, recreational services, safe, well-performing schools, green space, and a walkable community, that no matter what development you build, you are not going to attract buyers for that development, nor the homes that we have within our community. And without attracting new buyers and new people in our community, you're not going to support businesses. Which leads me to my next thing. As a successful business owner since 2006 and in the city since 2010, I understand the financial challenges, the ever-changing global and economic landscape, the ebbs and flows, if you will. I know that you do not spend money before you have a budget. We need to reinvent to keep up with a technically changing world. The lack of support for businesses from our city commission during COVID is disheartening, to say the least. The need for a city commissioner who is also a liaison to the businesses is something I'm eager to institute. I look forward to serving you as your next Lake Worth Beach City Commissioner.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Should I close this all the way for you?
You go lock down the door. All right, thank you. Mr. Maxwell,
I'm ready to go?
please.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Scott Maxwell, and I'm honored to be here as a candidate for re-election to the Lake Worth Beach City Commission. Thank you very much to the NAPC for taking the extra efforts necessary to put this event together during a very challenging time. I'd like to share a little bit about myself and my family, as well as provide an overview of the successes our city has achieved over the last few years. Originally from the Pittsburgh area, I moved to Palm Beach County in 1983, met my wife in 1984, and we married in 1988. We purchased and lived in our house in Lake Osborne since 1990. During these past we also have an adult son, I don't want to leave them out, an adult son, as well as 3 rescue dogs, Cody, Domino, and Archie Doodle. During the past 3 years, I've worked very hard to create an economic and social environment that encourages new businesses and development and expansion, diversifies and increases our tax base, enhances our public safety and our quality of life, strengthens code enforcement to improve our neighborhoods, increases the collaboration and significance of neighborhood association, and reduces the cost of living for our residents. During this unprecedented last year, I've been working tirelessly to bring comfort, relief, and reliable communication to our residents in our collective fight against COVID-19. That said, I believe this forum will provide you a greater understanding and clarification of some of our city challenging issues. Folks, I know many of you, and many of you know me. We've worked together through the trenches over the years, and it hasn't been easy, and it's not always been fun. But I think I've proven myself to be a tireless advocate for you and the needs of our residents, regardless of where you live in Lake Worth. I want to continue putting my heart and my soul into our community as your city commissioner. Thank you for taking the time to view this presentation. I'm asking you for support in your vote this March 9th. And a vote for me assures that our city continue to move forward to have the best community to raise your children, earn a comfortable living, and to enjoy all the pleasures that our tropical paradise has to offer.
Thank you. Now we'll get to our questions. Ms. Malega, I'll start with you.
Okay.
I just have to adjust the time.
And remember, these questions are a minute 30, no longer 2 minutes.
Sir.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Ms. Malega, the city of Lake Worth Beach seems to be funded by the CRA without the CRA reciprocating by providing transparency into their planning and operations. This makes the taxpayer wonder whether the city is a good steward of how our tax dollars are being spent by the CRA. How would you correct the current relationship between the city of Lake Worth Beach and the CRA?
Thank you for the question. I am a fan of the CRAs. I am a homeowner and a business owner, and part of the CRA bringing me here. The CRA has changed drastically. What I would like to say is majority of the development and the improvements you see are CRA driven. Unfortunately, in the last 16, 18 months, there's been a lot of disconnect with the residents, which I'm very upset about. What I would love to do is redistrict, which you can, the CRA, with the findings of necessity, as long as it's according to section 163.3 of the Florida statute, we can redistrict the CRA down South Dixie Highway and South Federal Highway, where we really need the development, and take them out of the downtown area. I love Joan, I love the staff, I think that they work hard. I do think that, unfortunately, there's a lack of communication from the CRA to residents. I believe that to be successful, the residents need to be at the drawing board, and we need to have input in regards to development, street flow, signs, anything that has to do with the residents in this city and the lifestyle that we live. The development is positive, we need it, we need bodies and homes, the businesses need development to survive. However, we really need to work on the bridge between the CRA and the residents, and I think that I'm the perfect person. I've had a relationship with the CRA since I've moved here. I sit on the Neighborhood Enhancement Team Board, and I do attend the meetings. I'm a supporter, and I think that I can help cure the wound that has been caused with the CRA in the city of Lake Worth.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Would you
Maxwell.
repeat the question?
Sure. The city of Lake Worth Beach seems to be funding the CRA without the CRA reciprocating by providing transparency into their planning and operations. This makes the taxpayer wonder whether the city is a good steward of how our tax dollars are being spent by the CRA. How would you correct the current relationship between the city of Lake Worth Beach and the CRA?
Did your question state that the city is funding the CRA?
Seems to be, yes.
That would be an incorrect statement. The CRA is an independent district. Okay, the city does not fund the CRA. It receives tax money from the ad valorem taxes within the district. Okay. The CRA is an independent body, independent of the city commission. The city commission, in fact, does appoint the CRA members, and the CRA members are responsible for conducting the day-to-day operations of the CRA. The CRA is run by an executive, or I should say, administered by an executive director and her staff. Okay. The CRA boundaries were created many, many years ago, and if you look at the CRA map, you'll see that it encompasses a very large swath of the city of Lake Worth Beach. Okay? The issue of transparency seems to be coming up a lot during this election cycle. The fact of the matter is, any project that goes forth through the CRA has to go through a number of processes. In fact, we believe there's somewhere between 5 and 7 different steps that the community can be involved in to participate and understand what the CRA project is, and if they have an opportunity to protest. So if the community is truly concerned about transparency, or I should say better communication, then let's work together and see if we can come up with a better way of having the CRA come back to the community. But we've had this conversation at the city commission level. We've had staff actually map out each and every step of the process. So we are governed by law, the CRA operates by law, and they certainly work within the law. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll come back to you, Ms. Malega, for the second question.
Yes, sir.
More than 51% of our city's budget goes to Pbso, yet the numbers on crime seem to remain the same. How would you work with Pbso to ensure Lake Worth Beach residents are getting what they paid for?
I love this question. Yes, crime is the same. That's why I'm running again. Unfortunately, every violent murder that's happened in the past 6 years has happened in my district, in District 1, and we don't talk about it. So, first of all, my father was brutally murdered, so this is personal to me. I think that the first thing we need to do before Pbso's contract is renewed in September of 2021 is to make them have mandatory body cameras for the safety of our residents, for the safety of the officers, for the safety of the city. I think that we need to start working on more community policing, having the same police officers work within the boundaries and build a relationship with the community so the community is more apt to answer questions and to help when there's crime, not to run away. Another thing that I really think will help with Pbso is if we stop this using Lake Worth Beach as a training ground and we get officers who want to stay here and stay invested in our city and not just come here and get an education and move on to another area. I think Pbso does a great job. I've had interactions with them most recently. I do not like the fact that we have a gag order, that Pbso controls what the media hears about our crime. I would like to lift that. In the negotiations in September of 2021, I think that the City Hall should be the one who's addressing our violent crimes and the issues in our city and not letting the media and Pbso write the narrative. And let's tell the truth of what's really happening in our city. Thank you.
Maggie, would you like me to repeat?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. More than 51% of our city's budget goes to Pbso, yet the numbers on crime seem to remain the same. How would you work with Pbso to ensure Lake Worth Beach residents are getting what they pay for?
First of all, excuse me, public safety is the largest chunk of any municipality's budget, okay? The fact of the matter is we are saving loads of money compared to what we were paying when we had our old police force back some 10 or 12 years ago. The other reality is that crime rates have dropped in this city year after year, every year, since PBO has taken over our law enforcement duties. Recently, we have implemented across the city in terms of technology, we have implemented to assist, well, I'd like to address the person asking the question. Recently, the city of Lake Worth Beach has installed license plate readers around the city to help the police and the sheriff's office. We have an awful lot of out-of-town traffic that comes through here. Many of those folks, let me rephrase that. Some of those folks are passing through after having committed crimes. So the introduction of license plate readers has been a real godsend to us. The sheriff's office recovered, I can't tell you how many stolen vehicles, and it's helped solve a number of crimes. The perception of crime is very real if you are the victim of crime. I don't deny that, and I say that quite often. If you're the victim of crime, then crime is a very real issue for you. But the reality of it is crime rates in the city of Lake Worth are getting better year after year, year after year after the previous year. And yes, we have work to go, and community policing is a big issue that I've been forced to, not forced, I found myself in a situation to go out and ask the officers why they're not doing more community policing, okay? And they have admitted on some level that they could do a better job. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll start this question with you this time. The city charter has not been fully reviewed in almost half a century. In the last year, there have been several recommendations to conduct a citizen review of the charter and to report status and findings to the Lake Worth Beach commissioners and mayor. However, it appears that these recommendations are being ignored. What is your opinion on conducting a formal charter review?
Actually, the City Commission has recently agreed to have a charter review committee and also to look at term limits and putting them on the ballot in either November or next March.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Ms. Malega, I'll ask you the same question. The city charter has not been fully reviewed in almost half a century. In the last year, there have been several recommendations to conduct a citizen review of the charter and to report status and findings to the Lake Worth Beach commissioners and mayor. However, it appears that these recommendations are being ignored. What is your opinion of conducting a formal charter review?
It's funny we asked this because in 2018, my opponent said that they were going to do a charter review, and that was 3 years ago. Here we are still talking about it. To me, it's just, again, goes to the lack of communication from City Hall to the residents and following through. You know, our City Hall is still the only one that's closed, and our city CRA is still the only one that's closed. And I've called people from Panama City all the way to Miami. Most cities have reopened their buildings in June or July and have been successful, yet ours is still closed because, unfortunately, our City Hall doesn't really want to hear what the residents have to say. And this is, again, just another blatant way of seeing it. We've asked for charter reviews, you know, just like they put together, you know, an educational team. 9 out of those 10 educational team meetings were canceled. So you know, it's good to talk the talk, but let's see if you walk the walk. And unfortunately, that has not happened in the city in a long time, which is why I'm running.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maxwell. With Palm Beach County single-family home prices increasing 12.4% year after year and the median home price being over $355,000, many families have had great gains in their investment. In certain areas in our city, homeowners are experiencing less than half that due to slumlord tactics and under-policing. What policies would you implement to help increase home prices in Lake Worth Beach?
Well, first of all, our home prices increase on average double-digit every year. And that's not really included in your question, but I'd like to point that out. We are very fortunate. In fact, we just about lead the entire county in improved home values year after year, and we have done so for the last 8 or 9 years. So we're doing everything we possibly can. Code enforcement is our biggest tool to dealing with the slumlords. But if you're familiar with Chapter 162 of the Florida statute, which deals specifically with code enforcement, you have to remember that the process that code enforcement implements is simply a process. It's not an event. We can bring property owners into the magistrate every day of the week, and we can find them in violation, and we can impose a fine on them. However, if they do choose not to comply their properties, there is not a thing we can do at the city level to get them to comply their properties, other than possibly, if it's a non-homesteaded property, seize the property by actually taking the property back in foreclosure. The problem is, many properties in the aftermath of the housing bust of 2008-2009 were so over-leveraged it would be fiscally impossible for us to foreclose on very many of these properties here in the city. So what we need really is an education program directed towards our renters, that they will cooperate with city staff and work with us and tell us about the violations they have and come forth and point out the slumlords so we can do a better job of at least bringing them before the magistrate and putting more pressure on them on a regular and consistent basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Malega. With all the new interest from developers in our city and new development projects from the city, as well as having...
I didn't answer the other question.
I apologize.
That's okay.
My fault. Would you like me to reread?
Can you reread, please? 'Cause
I
now I'm going to
can.
think about that one. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Ignore that. With Palm Beach County single-family home prices increasing 12.4% year after year and the median home price being over $355,000, many families have had great gains in their investment. In certain areas in our city, homeowners are experiencing less than half that due to slumlord tactics and under-policing. What policies would you implement to help increase home prices in Lake Worth Beach?
Well, I wish my house was $355,000, but it's not. I will tell you that one of the things that I'd love to do, which I spoke about in 2018 again, is having a standard city-issued for rent sign that has the landlord's business license written in the corner. It's legal. It will produce revenue. It'll help code enforcement because if they drive past a house and there's a for rent sign in the window and it's not a city-issued one, they know that by most likely that one doesn't have a license. It hasn't been inspected. It will protect the renter, it will protect the city, and it will protect the neighborhood. And then slowly we will start to see those slumlords go away because they're not going to want to pay the licensing, they're not going to want to pay for the inspections, and it's a good fix. It's been proven time over time in many metropolitan areas that it helps. It helps with code enforcement. I will tell you that also if we improve our schools and we improve our walkable community and our green space, and I think that we're for a little more forward thinking in environmental and solar and being a little more residential friendly with our utilities, that we will see more people move in and we will see that rise start to happen. Yes, we have had a rise since 2008, but so has the entire nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Maxwell.
Now you start this next question, Sarah.
Oh, Mrs.
Okay.
Malega. All right. So, with all the new interest from developers in our city and new development projects from the city, as well as having a federally recognized hub zone area here in Lake Worth Beach, would you be for or against developing a local Lake Worth Beach residents only SBE participation program for new development?
Depends on where it is, so that's a funny question. Depends on where in the city it is. We do need development. I mean, let's just be honest. We need bodies and homes, but again, you can build the mid, you can build the Bohemian, you can build the one, but if you're not giving people a reason to move to the city, it doesn't matter what we build or what programs we install. You know, people move because We've got good, good, safe performing schools. They move for jobs and they move for recreation and leisure services. We have been on the chopping block for the last 5 years. We've gotten rid of evenings on the avenue. We lost the Reggae Fest. We've lost, the food truck invasion, and this is all way before COVID. We have slowly taken this city from a small town charming city and turned it into something that's just supposed to be a money-making machine according to the current dais. And that is more of my focus. Yes, development is good and important, but if we don't bring the rest of it to the table, we can develop as much as we want, and we're just going to have empty buildings sitting around.
Thank you. Mr. Maxwell. I'll repeat the question. With all the new interest from developers in our city and new development projects from the city, as well as having a federally recognized hub zone area here in Lake Worth Beach, would you be for or against developing a local Lake Worth Beach residents only SBE participation program for all new development?
Thank you for the question. When you refer to a hub zone, are you talking about enterprise zone or opportunity zones?
It is a historically underutilized business zone.
Okay. The answer is yes. Okay, but obviously there has to be an assessment study. And as I said earlier about the CRA, the map, the boundaries for the CRA are very expansive because we've had a lot of need, particularly west of Dixie Highway and north and south on Dixie Highway. So I would absolutely be in favor of such a program. Anything we can do to promote home ownership, anything we can do to support local business and have the local folks be part of the growth and the investment, I'm 150% behind. Thank you.
Thank you.
This goes to Scott.
Oh.
Last one went to Sarah, so now
Okay.
this is the sixth question.
Mr. Maxwell, this is the last question. What should be done about the pool at the beach, and do you support a public-private partnership?
Now that's a two-part question. Thank you very much. I absolutely support a public-private partnership, but I think you'll understand if you've been around very long that sometimes that term causes a lot of angst, if you will, with the community. However, I think the temperature of the community is starting to shift a little bit. I think they're being a little bit more receptive to that idea. So I'm very much looking forward to having that conversation and see what a potential public-private partnership will yield. As far as the pool itself as a standalone entity, I repeat, do not support rebuilding the pool. And I'll tell you why I don't support it. Number one, it's a very expensive proposition. Some members of our commission have talked about spending $6 to $10 million on a pool. Okay, I would argue that we could spend that $6 or $8 million elsewhere in the city, perhaps on a community center to help our senior citizens and some of our needy neighborhoods, particularly the ones on the north and the west side of our city, who could use some middle school programming. So there are a lot of good, worthwhile projects that we could use other than spending it on what they call a hole in the ground that you pour money into. The reality of it is, if you look at it in terms of usage, we only had 36 people a day use that pool on average, and that included the swim teams. So when you factor that in against the $300,000 or $400,000 a year loss, it's not a fiscally responsible thing to do. Now, if we were to build a new swimming pool, we'd have to do I think we should do a needs assessment, and we should relocate it somewhere else in the city where it would benefit more people and it would attract more participants. So thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Malega.
Yes, sir.
What should be done about the pool at the beach, and do you support a public-private partnership?
I love the pool. I'm in favor of the pool. I was one of the people who used the pool at least 3 or 4 times a week, even though it was only open between 11 and 4 p.m. So yes, I do support reopening the pool. I do support a public-private partnership. There's a great entity in Tequesta that has just done something like this. The Blue Point Grill has taken over a failing spot at the Jupiter Marina. They have taken the spot that had failed 4 times, and they turned it into a great center. I picture our beach and our pool as a place where tourists and locals alike can support the economy while enjoying a day at the beach. It's hard to know that there's a pool behind there because there's a huge cinder block wall, so a lot of people don't even know there's a pool. I think that our beach needs to become more of a place where families can gather. Recently, they've taken away the playground equipment that was at the beach. So I do know that it can be successful. Please look up Blue Point Grill and Tequesta. It's an outdoor dining, bar, tiki area with a pool. They have entertainment, and to have somebody like that who's got a proven track record to come to the table and partner with us and pay rent and help absorb some of that cost is really the key to success. But again, the reason I'm a successful business owner since 2006 is I write a business plan and I roll with the ebbs and flows of the economy, and I know that it's ever changing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll now begin the closing statements. Mrs. Malega, I'll start with you,
Okay,
and it will be 2 minutes.
thank you.
You may start.
Our beautiful city has so many great things to be known for, like a beachfront pool. But instead, Ocala and Jacksonville newspapers report how we nearly missed the state's budget deadlines. I can promise as a self-employed woman that I will make the city and its residents my priority, and I will not miss more than a quarter of the monthly meetings, yearly budget meetings, and workshops like my opponent. Ask yourselves why our City Hall and the CRA is the only municipality that's still closed with more than 90% reopening safely in June and July. We cannot get wealthy on the backs of small businesses. We need to lower commercial rates, both water and electric, in our city to attract new businesses and help those who are already invested in our city, especially after the pandemic. As a coastal city in a full sun town, we have no solar panels on our municipal buildings, but yet Madison, Wisconsin has one on every building. That's amazing. Our residents deserve a welcoming city hall where ideas and thoughts are not only shared, but heard and respected and listened to, and considerations are taken before final decisions are made. I realize that no one on the current dais has a school-aged child when I had to take my 8-year-old foster son to South Olive Camp in West Palm Beach because they were authorized and licensed with Early Learning Coalition, yet our city is not. It's a missed financial opportunity as well as a missed service for our families that need it most. Thank God I had a car to get there. I am a proud woman, sister, mom, wife, and a successful business owner. And to be able to add city commissioner to this list excites me because it would give me the satisfaction of setting Lake Worth Beach onto the path of becoming the welcoming, inclusive, livable, and unique city we all know it can be. Thank you for your time on this beautiful Saturday, and if you live in Lake Worth Beach, vote for Sarah Maligo on March 9th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebuttal to.
So,
No, I'd like to give her the opportunity to clarify her comment about me missing meetings. Exactly what meetings are you referring to?
Oh, can I get my phone?
Sure.
In 2018, would you like to know the dates?
What's the organization?
The neighborhood, the commission meeting, city commission.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So in 2018, the year after our election, 35 meetings, 25% were missed. May 1st, August 7th, you were 25 minutes late. August 9th, August 28th, October 9th, which was a master plan and Lula information that was on the agenda. October 18th was a work session involving the parking study. October 23rd, November 1st, which was a joint work session with the school board.
I see. And I don't know how accurate that is, but I would say that,
That's according to the city's minutes.
okay, well, how many meetings have I missed in all my years?
I didn't bring that up, did I?
Well-
That was the year that you committed to the city. I'm not going to go back and forth with you because I don't think that we're supposed to do that, so.
Okay, very well.
I don't want to,
I
I mean,
think-
I'm not trying, I know there's a
I haven't-
camera and,
Okay. I think if you have to get to the point where you have to, I'm not going to go there. Could I, please?
your closing statement?
Yeah, please.
Yes,
I'd like
please.
to do that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank you folks here at the NAPC for putting on the forum today. I hope I was able to, based on some of the questions, highlight some of our shared successes over the past years. Obviously, we didn't get into some of the things I'd like to talk about. But some of our successes were the investment of over $150 million in infrastructure improvements to address generations of neglect, the replacement and revamping of outdated codes and laws to foster new investment, increase your home values, encourage new businesses and jobs, improve your quality of life, and focusing on true public safety partnership with Pbso, including the use of license plate readers and cameras, while insisting on a recommitment to improve community relations and community-oriented policing. This March 9th is very important. The choices you make will either continue the process of moving the city forward for all of citizens or take us in the wrong direction. I want to continue to build on and enhance the quality of life issues that we've already improved on, such as our burgeoning new business development and expansion, continuing the diversification of our tax base, the improvement of our public safety and implementing impactful traffic calming for our neighborhood streets, ensuring a strong, consistent code enforcement, and working towards reducing the cost of living for all residents. I'm proud and honored once again that my campaign has been endorsed by the Palm Beach County firefighters, the Palm Beach County Police Benevolent Association, and the Broward Palm Beach St. Lucie Realtors Association. But the most important endorsement I'm proud to have would be yours and your neighbors on March 9th. In a long election season. I'm Scott Maxwell, and I humbly ask for your support and your vote this March 9th. Your vote for me helps assure that Lake Worth Beach continues to move forward in its quest to be the great community and the best place to raise your children, earn a comfortable living, and to enjoy all the excitement and the pleasures our diverse, quirky, and funky little piece of paradise offers. And I would like to make one more comment. Just everybody, please be safe, wear your masks, keep your distance, and be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here.